Aloha, I have a question for you. How are you at managing your masculine and feminine energies? So if you've watched some previous videos, you might know that I've recently went through a breakup. And at first it was, well, it's a breakup, right? So who is happy about breakups? And since then, it's really honestly been one of the best things that has happened for me, because I've been able to take information that I've been working on and take it to like a deeper level. There's things that I'm not quite sure if I would realize or have recognized had this not happened. And it's all about the masculine and feminine energies and where you're at along the spectrum and how you harmonize and balance those energies. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. And I'm Sabrina with Begin Being. So I would love for you to go ahead and click all of the things and, help me out too, because hopefully you're going to get amazing value from this video. In this video, we're going to be discussing the masculine energy and the feminine energy. And I want to be very clear. So when I'm saying masculine and feminine, I'm not necessarily talking about male, female. What I'm talking about is the archetypal energies. So in a relationship, as you know, I think everybody knows by now, you can have female, female, male, male, any variety in between. And so when I'm using the terms masculine and feminine, I'm simply bringing in the energies, not necessarily the physical appearance or orientation. So when talking about this, I want to delve deep into what it means to be able to lead in both the masculine and the feminine. Because what had happened in the relationship that I was in is one of the things that he was saying is that he really wanted to lead me. It was important for him to be in the masculine energy, and he really wanted me to be in the feminine energy. And there were some things that were going wonky, and I was trying to understand it, trying to figure out, okay, what is this? Why are these energies not mixing, not going with a flow, with an easy flow? And I'm going to give you some examples of times that it weren't, to be able to bring in a higher level of thinking about this. And what I've realized is that it seems that there are different ways to be in the masculine, and there are different ways to be able to lead from the masculine, either to the masculine or leading to the feminine. And I'll explain what I mean by that as we go along. But the reason why all of this is so important to understand is because when you don't, and you're in a relationship, things can go wonky. And it actually, what I found is that it actually doesn't even matter if you're in a romantic relationship or if this is a business relationship. No matter what, it's actually important to understand not only where you're at from a leadership perspective, but where the other person is at as well. And it's not only just lead, follow, like one person's always lead, one person's always follow. It's actually that there should be an intermingling between the two, because sometimes the other person has more information than you do, or new or interesting perspectives or ideas to bring into what you're doing. So whether this is a romantic relationship, whether this is a business relationship, it's extremely important to know, like I said, where you are and where the other person is. So one of the things that was happening in the relationship, and I'll give you a specific example, is we were in a city, and we were out to dinner. And we were in a downtown type of area. We were out to dinner, we had dinner, and then he wanted to go find a bar or something like that and go have a few more drinks after the dinner. And so we left the restaurant, and he kind of asked, some people who were local to the area, and they were kind of giving him a few things, and then he Googled something, and he found directions to this one bar that was supposed to be, really nice. And so we were walking there, and we were walking, and we walked underneath this one, through this one place. It was a little bit shady. There was a homeless person, and the homeless person was fine. Nothing, happened. And there was this feeling of oh, this might not be the safest place to be walking at nighttime in the dark with just the two of us. But we walked past it, and we got through the area just fine. But then we were still walking, and then he does this thing where he's looking at his phone and he's going, which way is it? Which way am I supposed to be going? So he's kind of talking out loud. I thought he was talking to me. So my feminine of wanting to help came into effect. Oh, my man is lost. Let me help him out. Let me figure it, let me help him through this because he's like in a stress, like he's getting stressed. And so I'm like, oh, cool. Let me activate my feminine, help my man. So I look on my phone, I Google it. I realize the reason why it was taking us so long is because he had it on driving directions versus walking directions. And so that's the first thing I tell him, like, hey babe, like it's gonna take us a lot longer than you think to get there because you have it on driving. And then the other thing is, and I was like, and it's that way. He was thinking it might've been like that way, and I was like, and it's that way. And then I could kind of tell that something was wrong. Like he was kind of like, his energy was off, like he was kind of upset. And so I asked him, I'm like, hey, what's up? What's wrong? And he's like, well, I really wanted to lead you. I really wanted to be the one to get us to the place. And I was like, oh, okay, this newer relationship, right? So you were still figuring each other out. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, next time we're in this situation, what would you like me to do? How can I help you next time we're in the situation? And he's like, I just want to lead. You don't have to do anything. And I'm like, okay, well, what if I know we're going the wrong way? And he's like, it doesn't matter, I'll figure it out. And so now I'm going, all right, we've been walking for over 10 minutes. And ladies, I'm in heels. Like it's date night, right? So trying to look cute and good. I'm in heels, you guys. And in my mind, I'm thinking, that's not leadership. That's not activating my feminine. And in that moment, new relationship, so I'm in my head, I'm going, okay, so he would rather us be lost. He would rather us continue to walk, even though I've been walking in heels for like a long time now, like it was at least 10 minutes. And he would rather us continue to be lost. And I'm thinking in my head, okay, I'm gonna try his way, and something seems off. What this did though, because what I've also realized is there's not just like how you're leading, but there's a higher vibration of a masculine and there's a lower vibration of a masculine. And there's also a higher vibration of feminine and there's a lower vibration of feminine. And then there's kind of like a neutral. And so starting out the night, it was more both of us neutral and both of us in our own energies. At this point now, he is shifting to the like lower level of masculine, the lower vibration of masculine, because in that moment, he's like, I don't care if we're lost. I'm going to get it. I'm going to be right. I'm going to lead no matter what, even if I'm struggling. In that moment, it shifted me into a lower level, a lower vibration of the feminine of, okay, I'm going to follow him even if it's not in both of our best interests. And sometimes that can happen. And it's all okay because it's all learning, it's all like different experiences. The reason why this is so important to understand though is because when this happens, if you can recognize it, you then have a choice. If you can recognize it as the feminine, I could have said, okay, babe, I understand that you want to lead me right now and I want to follow you and I don't feel safe. We walked through this area that was kind of sketchy, wasn't the best probably area for us to be walking through, and we're also lost. So I really don't feel comfortable right now. Can we maybe just take some breaths and regroup and get this back in alignment? That would have been me going into my higher level of feminine and helping him to lead me, because at that moment, he was leading me in a way that was from the lower masculine, not making me feel safe, just location where we were, not making me feel like he's caring about about me, because again, we've been walking a long time and I'm in shoes that you just should not wear walking. And if you can take that time to be able to regroup, to say, okay, babe, I would love for you to lead us. and how can we lead us in a way that's going to be safe and in a way that's going to like get us to where we're going, to where we're not like walking in circles or we're not walking the wrong direction. So along with this, it's just taking that time to be able to process, where are you on the spectrum? So are you in the masculine, and are you the leader? And where are you in the masculine? Are you at the higher vibration, or are you at the lower vibration? And if you're trying to bring in the feminine energy, okay, well, where are you? Like, are you following your man or the person that you're in a relationship with? Like, you know, because it might be a woman. Are you following that person who is in the masculine or who is wanting to be in the masculine? Are you following them? And if you are following them, are you in the higher vibration of feminine, or are you in the lower vibration of feminine? Because here's the thing, sometimes when men are wanting to be in the masculine and they're not exactly knowing how or how to lead the feminine, sometimes they're wanting you to be submissive, and it's not the best for you. So, and that's when you're getting into like men who are overly controlling, or again, like it doesn't have to be a gender man, but that person who is like overly controlling, then that can put the feminine into like a lower level of the feminine vibration until she learns to be able to speak for herself and say, I love you, I want to follow you, and we need to talk about what that means. We need to talk about what true leadership means. And I'll give you another situation in which this had happened as well, which is interesting because when one of my goals, one of my overall like lifelong goals, is to be able to bring in more information about masculine and feminine energies and how they balance and harmonize each other. And you know, in the past, I'm gonna do a little side note really quick. In the past, masculine or feminine energies, like a lot of societies were matriarchal, if I can say that word, type societies. And it was actually the women who led. And at a certain point, they became more now I can't even say anyway, led by the masculine. And that's kind of where it's been for quite some time. And patriarchal, there we go. It's weird because that starts with the P, and you would think the male, you would think that would start with the M. Anyway, language, right? So, I'm actually at, another side note, I'm actually at our Huna Training, and that's why I'm here in Hawaii. We come here every 6 months to do our trainings, and one of the other teachers was on stage, and he actually was stumbling over his words, and it was hilarious in the way that it happened, and he's like, words are hard. And so that became like a constant, running joke throughout the training. And so, yeah, I guess it's brought into this energy as well. It's continuing on. So with society has been led by the masculine energy for quite some time. And then kind of towards, 50s, 60s, 1950s, 1960s, bringing it into more of like, hey, what about the feminine? What happened to the feminine energy? And now it's continuing to go forward. And the other thing about the feminine energy is that it's not just in women, it's in men too. And there's a lot of men who have lost their connection with the feminine energy because it has to be both. It has to go both ways. Every one of us has both energies inside of us. So it's not just that females need to connect with their feminine energy. It's also that males need to connect with their feminine energy as well. And each of us need to find a harmony in all of it. So there's been such a disharmony with the masculine energy, whether it's within ourselves or whether it's in society, like throughout society. And so it's one of my life's missions is to be able to help society reconnect with both energies and us as individuals to be able to reconnect with both energies as well. So it's interesting how the universe sends us our goals in ways that we don't expect. And if it sends us information, sometimes it can start like on a small scale or like on a very soft level, and kind of like a very soft knock on the door. And if we don't hear that knock, it gets louder and louder and louder and louder and louder until we then pay attention. So from a business perspective, the universe obviously sent me a very loud lesson from a relationship perspective. And what I find interesting is prior to that, it actually sent me more of a soft message from a business perspective. And that was, so I'm one of the vice presidents of the company that I work for. And there was I'm a vice president, and I'm also a trainer. So I teach NLP, Neurolinguistic programming, and I teach Huna. And I was at a prac training, so we were at a NLP practitioner training, and there was stuff going on in the office. So when I'm on site, I'm teaching and stuff like that, so I can't pay as much attention to stuff going on in the office. And so there was stuff going on, and basically some team members got like, I don't want to say a fight, but it was just, the communication which was just not happening. And we were like a family-run business, and even though like I'm not a part, like physically DNA of the family, and not all of us are DNA of the family, because it has that family energy though, it's like we're all a part of the family, and we treat each other like that. And as pretty much everyone knows, all families have their disagreements. All families have their moments of like, well, fuck. Oh, I can't say that. YouTube censors. All families have that moment of like, you suck, right? Okay, so that's kind of what was happening. And as one of the leaders, I'm like, ooh, okay, they're not understanding each other's communication styles. And so when I got back in office, I called a meeting, with the president and other VPs and stuff. And I'm like, okay, here's what's happening. And what was happening is one of the team members was in their masculine, and they were communicating to the masculine. So what I have come to learn is that there's a difference in your communication if you're masculine communicating to a masculine, or if you're a masculine communicating to a feminine. And so what was happening is the leader who was in the person's communication, it was coming off as more aggressive. That's not the way the person intended it to happen. It's just, that's the way it was coming off. And part of the reason why is because this person is used to more leading masculine to masculine. So in the prior job, before coming on board with our team, this person was more used to leading with a masculine energy to someone else who's also being in the masculine energy. Now that can come off sometimes as aggressive or as like too much when the other person who is following is in her feminine. And so the conversation, and I didn't explain it like this. I wish I would have, and I can't say I wish because we learn when we're supposed to. When I was having the conversation though, it would have made the conversation easier if I would have said, right now you're coming from masculine and going to masculine. Try coming from masculine, because when you're a leader, you have to be in your masculine energy. That's just the way it is. There are some certain circumstances where you can actually lead from the feminine. I'll go over that as well. But in this case, she needed to be in the masculine. That's wonderful and amazing that she was. And what was happening though is there was the opportunity to lead to the feminine energy. And how I explained it, because I didn't know that terminology, is how I explained it was this employee, and I went over the employee's personality. This is what this employee needs in her communication. And what that equated to, now that I know the terminology, is be in your masculine and lead to the feminine which is a softer energy. And as it turns out, okay, so I didn't quite hear the lesson. I didn't hear that knock in that moment. I heard it big time during the breakup, because what was happening is he was used to, he was an entrepreneur. He was used to leading from a sense of, I don't care, you're going to listen to me, because he was at such a high level and his businesses were at such high levels that he literally could say to somebody, do it my way or get out or leave, because doing it his way was going to get him the success that he wanted. Bringing that into a relationship, though, that doesn't work. When you are trying to lead the feminine energy, if you are in more of the aggressive, I don't care if we're lost, I don't care if I take us into an unsafe environment, I want to lead no matter what. If you bring that type of energy to your person who's trying to be, or you want them to be in their feminine, she's going to have a reaction that you're not going to want. It's either going to put her so far into her lower vibration feminine that she might just be okay, like as in say okay to you, but either be crying inside, or she might even cry in front of you, depending on how comfortable she is, or depending on how much she can control her emotions. So inside, she's going to feel like crying, because what you've just done is you made her feel like her opinions don't matter, her help doesn't matter, and that you don't value her. Someone who is in their lower vibration of feminine, in that moment can be completely submissive and just say okay. On the surface level, that's going to feel like what you want. Then later when she starts crying or her emotions are out of control and you don't know why, then you're going to be mad at her. Or you're going to be like, why can't you, like, why are you upset? I don't understand why you're upset. And then you might go into more of like an anger mode of, what is wrong with this woman? Why is she just crying for no reason? Or if she's crying in the moment, why is she so sensitive? The other thing that it can do is, if your woman or whoever it is in the higher vibration, in that moment, there's a couple of things that can happen. So she could just simply say, this is not okay with me. It doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't feel good that you're wanting to lead so strongly that you're willing to have us walk the wrong direction and us maybe get lost, robbed, whatever. She could possibly tell you that, and then she could have maybe a conversation of, how do we fix this? In that moment, you're probably not going to like that either, because you're going to, if you are in that energy of I have to lead, you're going to think, I can't lead this woman. And in that moment, you're right, because you're in that lower vibration of you have to lead, and it doesn't matter to you, you want to be right, and it doesn't matter where she's at. You just want to have control. So then there becomes the, well, is that truly what you want? Do you want to lead so bad that you're willing to either put her in a place where she doesn't feel safe, or put her in a place to where she's like, no, this isn't okay. The other thing that could possibly happen is that she could then go into her masculine, which in that point, she could completely take over leading, which is actually what he saw me doing, or what he thought that I was doing. So when I got on my phone and I was like, oh, hey babe, here's what's happening. You're in drive mode instead of walk mode, and it's this way. He saw me as completely being in my masculine and taking over. In my mind, what I was doing is I was being in the higher, or maybe neutral to higher vibration feminine, to where I was simply, my man needs help because he's stressed, and the feminine wants to help. And it's not from necessarily a leading perspective, although it can seem that way. What she is doing is she's trying to help. Now, what happened after that is once I told him that and I noticed his energetic shift and he said, I want to lead, I then stopped my maps. I'm giving this example as a way to show you guys how something so simple can then cause a little rock or a little bump in a relationship to where then you're going, something's not working, something's not right. And fast forward, it's, can you have that conversation? Can you look at where you are on the spectrum and how that relates to the relationship and what's going on in between the two of you? And can you both stop and take a moment to be at the higher levels of vibration? Now, I'm going to be making some more videos on when you're in your masculine. So say you are either a male or you're more in that male energy in your relationship. How do you be in your masculine and lead? And again, this comes from a business perspective. It comes from a relationship perspective. Even working with family members, being able to lead other family members, maybe being a lead in your community. Or should you be stepping back and not trying to take over someone else's lead? So there are times when you're working with maybe a community or a group organization and the group has decided upon a leader. And so this happens sometimes with some of our students. Some of our trainings, we have to create groups. And what we find is they actually elect a leader. And sometimes we find that someone else is so in their masculine lead energy that they cannot allow that person to lead, even though they volunteered to be a follower. And sometimes because we are coming together with a lot of our trainings, we have very high level people coming into them. And so they're often leaders in their businesses or in their organizations. And so it's really funny to watch that sometimes they want to elect someone else to lead because they're like, I lead throughout all of the rest of my stuff in my life. I lead in my life all the time. I don't want to lead here too. And so they want to be one of the followers, but because they're so in that energy, they have conflict and they won't let the person lead. And the other thing that's interesting about this is that the person who gets elected leader is actually normally in their everyday life more of a follower. And it's very interesting to watch the dynamic shift. And usually what happens is by the end of the training, the person who is normally a leader learns the value of following. And they learn the value of being able to slow down. And they learn the value of letting this other person make mistakes and letting them step into their own power and their own leadership skills. So where are you at? Where are you at on the spectrum? What do you do in your normal life? And are your relationships good? Or could they use some improvement? Me personally, I think any relationship could constantly use an improvement, even if it is amazing. So I'm going to be talking more about if you're more of the male. So if you are physically a male or identify with the male energy, how you can be in your masculine and lead your woman or whoever's in the feminine, to be able to lead if you are a leader in your business, and also how to be in your feminine. Because when you're in the masculine, when you're a male and you want to be a leader, you want to be in the masculine, you absolutely 100% have to know how to go into your feminine. Because if you can't go into your feminine at certain times, you're actually not going to allow your partner who is trying to be in the feminine energy or who you want to be in the feminine energy, you are going to actually cause her to be in her masculine if you are 100% in your masculine. I know that sounds counterintuitive. I know it doesn't make any sense. Tune in for the video about being in your masculine and you will understand further what that means. I'll also be doing a video on the feminine. Now the feminine, most of us have to spend so much time in our masculine because when you're working 8 or so hours a day, you're often having to be in your masculine at work. And so you spend actually more time in your masculine than you do in your feminine. So the feminine video, I'm going to be really talking about how you shift from that masculine energy down into your feminine energy, whether or not you're in a relationship, because even if you are single, you 100% have to be in your feminine energy. And in fact, if you're single and you're trying to manifest a new man, or you're trying to manifest that new relationship with the masculine energy, you cannot do it if you can't connect to your feminine. Or you might, but it's not going to be the relationship you want. All right, I love you all. Thank you so much for watching, and please choose love in all that you do. Mahalo. Can we just take a minute and admire this beautiful tree? So it's just sitting here, and it has this absolutely perfect, amazing seat to sit on while you stare out at the ocean. So currently, today, I'm thankful for this amazing tree and its little sitting spot here just for anyone to enjoy the amazing ocean. What are you grateful for?